All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Big Friday. Warriors going tonight in the playoffs. Giants on the road. And we're hooking up with Dave Softy Mahler, who joins us from the Pacific Northwest to talk Seahawks and the draft and Jimmy G and quarterbacks. But he joins us from a killer casino. My goodness, Dave, that is last time we talked to you, you were in the Softy man cave. Now you're pimped out 5-star. Look at you. You've gone places, my friend.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's cooler, this environment I'm in right now or your badass open you just played there, dude. That thing is rocking, man. That's better than anything you had when you were on radio, dude. Well done. Good for you. Good for you.
Exactly. Well, dude, tell us where you're at, because that we were talking off air, but can you give us the 360 for the people on the live stream? This is one of the coolest looking venues I think I've ever seen. Go ahead, rotate that thing and show us where you're at and tell us where you're at.
I will. Yeah, so I'm at the Emerald Queen Casino in Tacoma. They actually have 2 locations. They have one here in Tacoma and then one more right up the freeway in Fife, which is just north of Tacoma. And this is the sports book in the brand new casino. This is just a small wing of the sports book, this area right here. And then you walk over this way and you see the main area of the sports book, MGM Sports Book. They got all the chairs and TVs and betting kiosks in the back. And there's the big screen. They can put like 16 games on that thing at one time. And then you have kind of a, overflow area over here and then a bar here, obviously. And then you can see in the back wall, those are all the odds up there on the back wall. And then you walk out here and you have your actual casino with slot machines, blackjack tables, restaurants. I mean, it feels like you're in Vegas, man. Really, it's unbelievable. There's no reason to go to Vegas because everything you have is right here in Tacoma at the Emerald Queen. And we've been doing events with these guys for a long, long time. I've been doing stuff with them for well over 20 years, man. My first event for these guys was in 99 when Mike Holmgren was in his first year with the Seahawks as the head coach, and John Kitna was playing quarterback for them, and that was on a boat. They had an actual, like, New Orleans-style boat that they had a casino on, and over the years they've evolved as anybody has, and here we are now in the brand new sports book, and we do our show here every Friday. So anybody needs a bet placed, man, let me know, and I'll throw it down for you with Larry's money.
There you go. Maybe a 2. Give me can you bet horses, ponies? Can you get
all of it? All of it.
Oh my
God.
Have
it all. Yeah, they got it all here. The only thing you can't do in our state is you can't bet on the local college teams for some reason, like Washington State, Gonzaga, basketball, football. They don't let you bet on those games, so you can't bet on those games here.
So you can't bet on the Seahawks. They're Seahawks.
You can. No, just Seahawks. College teams. College teams you can't bet on. Correct.
Gotcha.
You can bet college, but you can't bet the local college teams, man.
Purity.
Exactly.
Purity in the college game. All right, let's get to one of the, Pete Carroll says they're not trading for a quarterback. They didn't go for a quarterback. Niners are still looking to move Jimmy G. Is Jimmy G to the Hawks going to happen? What do you think? No? Have you guys talked about it?
No, we haven't even mentioned that at all. I think you just made that up in your brain, to be honest with you, man.
I did make it up. I'm looking for locations to drop them off at.
You're trying to dump your dirty laundry on the Seahawks, man. I know what you're up to, for God's sakes. No, I mean, why would there be any interest in Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, he's not a long-term answer for anybody at quarterback right now.
I thought your guy's starter was Drew Lock. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
No, but he's not the long-term answer either. That's the entire point, right? Is that if you're looking for a guy at quarterback, you're looking for a young guy that you can use for the next, 8, 9, 10 years. And I don't know. I'm not saying the Hawks are going to tank it this year, but Drew Lock, if he's the guy, he's just going to be a placeholder. Geno Smith is just going to be a placeholder if he's the guy. So we're all thinking way more long-term than just 2022, pal.
Well, what do you think of the quarterbacks? So it's Drew Lock, it's Geno Smith, it's Jacob Eason, who went to UW and has a huge arm, and who knows what his issue is. And then the interesting guy to me is this lefty 5'10" guy from Louisiana, Levi Lewis.
Right.
Dave, what are you hearing about Levi Lewis?
They like him a lot. There's no question about it. But that's Pete Carroll's MO. He likes everybody a lot, right? He likes everybody a lot until they're cut. I mean,
he likes you a lot. He comes on your show, right?
Exactly. He calls me Frosty. That's how well he knows me. He calls me the wrong name. But, I just think that the next great quarterback in Seattle is not here yet, right? I mean, I think you're a fool if you think that Geno Smith or Drew Lock or Levi or Jacob Eason or anybody is going to be the guy to take this team, to a championship again one day. I mean, undrafted free agent quarterbacks. I mean, Kurt Warner, I guess you can look at his story. It does happen every now and then, but you can count that on one hand. So what they need to do is need to find a way to get into the top 10 next year, either their own pick or the Broncos pick, and find that next great superstar, because next year's draft, at least for now on paper, looks like it's stacked. I mean, this kid from Kentucky, the kid from Alabama, obviously Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. There seems to be many much more options at quarterback next year than there were in this year's draft. So that's why we're all rooting for the Broncos to stink, man. I mean, all this talk about, cheering for Russell Wilson to do well in Denver, screw that. No, because you want the Broncos to be awful so you can get their first-round draft pick, just like the Jets were cheering for the Seahawks to be awful so they could get the Seahawks first-round draft pick. And guess what? They were awful, and it ended up being the number 10 pick in the draft. So that's what we're kind of hoping for.
If we get to July and the Niners cut Garoppolo before camp,
yeah,
does Pete kick tires on that? Does Pete go after him? No.
What is with you in this Garoppolo to the Seahawks talk? I mean, you won't let it go, man. Unbelievable.
I need you to take Garoppolo. There's no interest. No interest. Even if they can get him for the league minimum, Dave. You're saying no interest.
No, because they've got Drew Lock. They've got Geno Smith. They might have Baker Mayfield if he gets let go by the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I just don't know why there would be any interest in bringing Jimmy Garoppolo here, when you've already got Jimmy Garoppolo here. You've already got quarterbacks like that. You've already got options at quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. And guess what? If he's not good enough for the 49ers, why the hell would he be good enough for the Seahawks? I mean, the Niners are trying to build something up, and if you guys let him walk, and we had the same opinion, man, about Akella Witherspoon, right? Like, there's a reason why the guy was available. DJ Reed, there was a reason why the guy was available. He's a pretty good player, though.
DJ Reed was pretty good.
He ended up kind of being the exception to the rule. There's no question about that. But all of these players the Seahawks have brought in, from, DJ Fluker to Deion Jordan, all these busts, there's a reason why these cats are available, because they can't play anymore. And if the Niners are giving up on Jimmy Garoppolo, then there's a reason why, because he can't play. So I don't know, man. I just think you got to stop this nonsense, because I'm tired of hearing about it.
All right, let's jump to the draft. What'd you think of it? What'd you think of the Hawks draft? I thought Schneider nailed the draft, and that's why I wanted to have you on. I was kind of wondering what you were saying on your show about the draft and the job that he did. He gets the monster tackle, who I think is a great pass blocker, Charles Cross, and that's, you guys need that, right? You guys have had O-line issues, and I think he's a blue chipper. What'd you think of the draft, the first-round pick, and overall?
Yeah, well, I think every draft is really all about just ideas, right? Like, the idea is we have to fix our running game. So let's get two tackles and a running back, right? I mean, if you're going to want to fix the running game, if you're Pete Carroll, you want to pound the ball. Chris Carson's got a neck injury. He might never play again, Larry. Who knows what his future looks like? So what do the Seahawks go out and do? They go out and they draft a right tackle, they draft a left tackle, and they draft a running back. And Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State. So, yeah, is that your pastry, by the way, in the oven, ready to go pick up?
Yes, exactly.
Is that your pizza?
My pizza's ready, Dave. So hurry up. No,
that's my microwave pizza.
Yeah, exactly. That's my note to self. End this damn interview as fast as freaking possible.
No, I'm with you. No, but that's the idea, right? Who knows if they got the right guys, for crying out loud? Only time will tell. I've always said that the Monday after the draft, instead of talking about that draft, we should be recapping and grading what they did 3-4 years ago, because that really is the time you need to find out if these things work. So I like all the philosophies about what they did. They needed help in the run game. They needed help on the defensive line. They got Boye Mafe from Minnesota, the outside linebacker, edge rusher. They need that kind of help. They need two things. They need offensive line help, and they need defensive line help, outside of the obvious, which is the quarterback. And look, if this was any legitimate year for a quarterback, maybe they would have taken somebody today. Maybe they would have traded up and grabbed somebody with one of those second or third round picks. But it's just not a great year for quarterbacks in the draft. So I am a little bit intrigued, though, by what they did with the tackles they got, because they got two guys, in Abe Lucas from Washington State at right tackle and Charles Cross from Mississippi State at left tackle, who are both air raid guys, right? I mean, Charles Cross was playing Mike Leach's system in college as a upperclassman, and Abe Lucas was recruited by Mike Leach to play the air raid system in college. So Charles Cross is more of a pass blocker than he is a run blocker at this point of his career. But I think it's a lot easier to coach run blocking than it is pass blocking. So I'm totally fine with it.
I love the Kenneth Walker pick. Who's the number one back between Walker and Penny, you think?
Right now, it's probably Rashad Penny just because he's the incumbent, but he's got a massive injury history, and he's going to get hurt again, right? He's been hurt every year the guy's been here for 4 years. So Kenneth Walker, look, man, Michigan, the Wolverines gave up 11 rushing touchdowns last year. Kenneth Walker had 5 of them in one game against Michigan. And a lot of people like to look at the Ohio State game and talk about how Kenneth Walker disappeared. Dude, Larry, it was 21-0 after one quarter, and it was 49-0 at halftime. They were done running, all right? They had no choice but to throw the football in that game because they were getting trounced by Ohio State, and he was also banged up in that game. We were told by people out there the only reason why Kenneth Walker played in that game is because Michigan State wanted to pump up the Heisman Trophy. So I don't give any credence to the Ohio State game whatsoever. Penn State, Michigan, he was phenomenal. And they got to have a running game because they need 2 of them. And right now with Chris Carson's neck injury, not knowing what his future looks like, I think just putting all your eggs in the Rashad Penny basket is a major mistake. Obviously, they agree with that, so they grabbed Kenneth Walker in the second round.
Yeah, I think he's an awesome back. I'll tell you what I really loved about the Seahawk draft day is I love the receivers. Kid Melton flies, and he's big. Derrick Young is you got to wait till you camp, Dave. You're going to call back and be like, Derrick Young, man. Seriously, I mean, he's yoked up. He might be a tight end. He might be a wide receiver. He's just 225 pounds. And then the other kid, Demetrius Robinson, started at Cal. I think went to Georgia. He floated around to maybe 3 different schools, but he was like a 5-star guy coming into college. So those 3 guys I'm eager to see. It seems like Seattle's always pretty decent at picking off these guys. Melton, Young, and Robertson this summer will be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, Derrick Young from Lenoir-Rhyne. I'd never even heard of Lenoir-Rhyne.
Right, it's in North Carolina.
It's a private small school in North Carolina, and we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and he said his nickname is Derrick the Freak. So when a guy admits his own nickname is the Freak, you know he's a freak. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's some projects there. And they got this Tariq Woolen kid, the cornerback out of Texas San Antonio. And it's funny that all of his measurables blow you away, right? Like his 40 time, his hand size, his vert, all that blows you away. And then you watch the film, and you're like, oh, man, I don't know. Geez. I mean, the guy looks like he's playing cornerback for the very first time in college. You know, Hugh Millen, who you know, Larry, spent, 10 years in the NFL as a quarterback, does some stuff for us on KJR in Seattle. He said he is the least prepared football player that the Seahawks have drafted since he's been working in radio. Now, it doesn't mean he won't be a star. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a star down the road, but there is a real raw piece of clay there with Tariq Woolen that needs to be turned into a legit NFL caliber football player. So that's a project for sure. But Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, man, as long as they've been here, they love projects. I mean, they drafted George Fant as a basketball player out of Western Kentucky and turned him into a starting caliber offensive lineman. That became the Jets left tackle in the last year. They drafted Christian Sicoli out of Buffalo as a defensive lineman and tried to convert him to offensive lineman.
Brandon Browner. What was Brandon Browner's? Didn't he play a different spot?
No, he was playing cornerback in the Canadian Football League.
That's what it was, CFL,
and then he was brought to Seattle and became a really good player before he went bananas, obviously. So,
right. He's had problems off the field.
They've got a history, big time, of drafting projects on that side of the ball and turning them into offensive linemen, tight ends, things like that. So we'll see.
Yeah. They also got Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati, who's another big corner. I mean, if you watch the film on Woolen, if you just see the highlight reel is like the guy could be all pro. He's like 6'4", long arms, awesome break.
Because they're highlights. That's why.
Yeah, they're highlights. Right. But who's? I mean, we know Pete can coach that secondary. He was one of the great secondary coaches when he was here. But who coaches their secondary? Who's their DB coach?
So they got a guy named Sean Desai who came over from the Bears, who was their defensive coordinator, as you know. And he's now with the Seahawks as like an associate head coach on the defensive side of the ball, along with Clint Hurt. Clint Hurt's background is on the defensive front. He was the defensive line coach now for a while. So between Clint Hurt and Sean Desai and Pete Carroll, really when you ask who the DB coach is, Larry, it's Pete Carroll. That's the DB's coach because that's his forte. That's what he does. He coaches defensive backs. He coaches the defense. And as long as Pete Carroll's here, no disrespect to Clint Hurt, but the defense is going to be his baby. The defense overall really has not been the problem. It's been the offense, man. The offensive line has been a problem. The quarterback, obviously, Russell Wilson was banged up a year ago. The running game has been a problem. Shane Waldron was hired, and he was 40 years old. He was a first-year offensive coordinator from the Rams. So they really got to get that right, and they got to get the trenches right before this team starts winning again.
Hey, before we let you go, Dave, let's talk a little bit about the schedule. I mean, it's amazing what ESPN turns the schedule release and the NFL Network and this and that, but it is interesting. Coaches do, it matters. Your schedule matters. Who you play, when you play them, short week, long week, that kind of stuff. It sets up for wins and losses. Niners Seahawks at Levi's week 2, Niners Seahawks up there week 15, I think a Thursday night.
Right, exactly. And I think what first of all, from a selfish perspective, I always like to check the schedule to see if there's any Husky Seahawk road trip combos, so I can go down there and like watch the Dogs play Cal, and then watch the Seahawks play the Niners. Some of our best road trips are like Arizona, where the Seahawks play the Cardinals on a Thursday, and the Huskies are playing in Tempe on a Saturday, and we got none of that for UW, none of that for Wazoo. So that kind of sucks. And then only having the 2 primetime games. Russell Wilson's got 5 in Denver, and the Seahawks have the 2. They have the Monday night game in week 1, then the Niner game, obviously, in week 15 on Thursday Night Football. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like getting Russell and the Broncos in week 1 because
it's going to be an emotional game. That's an emotional game,
well,
right?
It's going to be a crazy game, first of all, but then second of all, you would think that, between Russell Wilson and his teammates, if they're going to pick up any chemistry, that's going to happen later in the year. So let's get them while they're still kind of maybe slightly, potentially discombobulated in week 1. Maybe they don't really have that chemistry yet like they'll have later in the year. I like playing them in week 1. I love getting all the hype for Monday Night Football. And then, look, man, there's also a stretch between, week 2, 3, 4, and 5 where you've got Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance with you guys. You got Marcus Mariota. You got Jared Goff, and you got Jameis Winston. And then you get the Cardinals in week 6, which, by the way, is the last game last week for DeAndre Hopkins' suspension. So you're only facing him once this year. And that's later, that's 4 weeks later, obviously. So I think the schedule sets up good for them early in the year to maybe, if they are going to be decent, kind of prove it to the NFL. And then you get 4 of the last 5 games at home in December and January. So back-to-back home games to end the year with the Jets and Rams, and the Jets are coming here on New Year's Day, and the Hawks have to go to Kansas City on Christmas Eve, which is going to be fun. You wake up on Christmas Eve, you watch the Hawks play at 10 o'clock, probably get buried by Mahomes, and then drink eggnog all night long and have yourself a gay old time. So we're looking forward to that. And then the game in Germany, they're going out to Munich to play Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and then have the week off after that with their bye. So, I mean, the schedule does have some pockets where they've got some chances to kind of make some hay, and I like that.
Will Softy be headed to KJR, foot the bill for a trip to Munich for you?
They actually asked me if I wanted to go, and of course I said yes. But the problem is Washington plays Oregon the day before in Eugene. So,
and you're Mr. Husky. You can't
I'm Mr. Husky. I have a Seahawks shirt on right now, but I am Mr. Husky. So we can't go to Germany. Yeah.
Do a buddy of mine is a big Seahawk fan. He just made a Seahawk neon of that picture right there. He just made a neon for his man cave. Do you have a Seahawks neon?
I do. I have one just like that in my garage from the Super Bowl in 2013. And I have a fake Lombardi trophy. So I have
not to mention all the Star Wars stuff.
Exactly. And the Star Wars crap. But interesting about that trip to Germany, we actually just for shiggles and gits on the radio show yesterday said, hey, how much does it cost to fly to Berlin? And we know the game is in Munich, but we're just looking for just a spot in Germany. So for Pac-12 football media day to fly down there for one day to LA is $800 on Alaska Airlines. To fly to Berlin is $950. So for an extra $150, you can fly to freaking Germany and watch the Seahawks.
That's awesome. I think I'd rather watch it where you're at right there.
Absolutely, man. Right there. Isn't that a great spot?
Look at that. Beautiful spot. How many people you think fit in that facility, by the way?
They'll probably put about 1,200 in here, maybe 1,000 people total. Oh, yeah. No, game day, it's packed. And they also have a big showroom in the back where they have concerts and stuff where they can fit like 2,000 people in there. So next time you're up here, we'll come on up. We'll smoke some cigars. We'll gamble on the Niners. We'll bet a couple of games. We'll play some golf. We'll play a couple of hands of Pai Gow and blackjack and have ourselves a good time.
By the way, what do you think of Trey Lance? You think Trey Lance is going to be good or no? You saw him a couple times this year.
I just haven't seen enough, man, honestly. I mean, the skill set is obviously there, but does he have it up here to translate to the NFL? I got no idea.
Yeah.
I got
no
no
he
idea.
does. I think he does. Does.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we appreciate it. Let me pay my sponsors and we'll duck out right here. We have a couple sponsors, Telmetrics.co. If you are an orthopedic surgeon, an occupational therapist, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly enhance your patient's experience. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and telehealth environments. Using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, and if you're a physical rehab specialist of any kind, be sure you hit Telmetrics.co. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the people at Telmetrics, and Dan Coachemilio, SecureMoney.com. He's a retirement planning specialist. He can set Dave and I up for the future. 925-628-9966, and he can do that for you as well. SecureMoney.com on the web. You want to make sure your money's secure. Danny can help you get about a 10% gain on your premium. You can get to your 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. He's got 25 years in the business. Give him a call. 925-628-9966. His website, securemoney.com. on the web. Thanks to both of our sponsors for sponsoring the Krueg Show. All right, man. Have a great afternoon. KJR on the FM side, right?
Yes,
Just
sir.
FM these days?
Yes, sir. Yep, 93.3KJR.com. And I'm laughing at both your sponsors because I played golf this morning and my back is killing me.
Right.
And then I looked at my portfolio. It's in the shitter in the last 2 weeks. So I could use both those sponsors, by the way, right now.
There you go. Hit like and subscribe and shop our sponsors, support the channel. All right, Dave. Hey, man, we always love rapping with you. Good luck to the Hawks this year. We don't mean that. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.